Welcome, drag racing fan. Monday Morning Racer here between the slicks, and we are live. Some drag racing news before we get to our many guests tonight. First off, Eric Lane. Godspeed to you, man, and the family. Hop, as he was affectionately known, co-crew chief on the Cruise Petragon Funny Car team. He was tragically struck and killed in Texas after spending some time with the team at a restaurant. He is survived by his wife and his child, a young daughter that is described as a daddy's girl. I'm sure they are taking it hard. Folks, there is a GoFundMe set up for Eric's family. I have already put that GoFundMe in the comment section here. You can find that GoFundMe link on Monday Morning Racer on the Twitter account and definitely at Cruise Petragon Racing. If there's anything that you can do, please donate. I myself have donated. I took the revenue that I've earned from YouTube. I had the best month that I've ever had, and I've given that all to that GoFundMe to support Eric's family. Let's all come together in this time of tragedy, time of sorrow for this family as a racing community and help them out. The last I looked, I think it was up to $22,000. Let's get that up even further, help them out with funeral costs and to help them a little bit down the road. They've lost a breadwinner. They've lost a loved one. They've lost someone that they counted vital in their lives. So if you can help out any way that you can. In drag racing news elsewhere, the NHRA will be traveling down to Baytown, Texas, Houston Raceway Park for the Spring Nationals. Yes, the Spring Nationals in the fall is 2020. What a wild and crazy year it has been. They will be there, which will be the second race in a row in 3 races in a row to end out an 11-race season for the NHRA, now Camping World Drag Racing Series. I will not be there as I usually am. I will rather be at the Brian Olson Memorial World Finals PDRA drag race at Virginia Motorsports Park. So you'll be seeing action there from myself, yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer, on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook there at Virginia Motorsports Park, and definitely some great things to look forward to, because there are championship battles in Pro Boost, championship battles in Pro Nitrous, and though the championship is sewed up in Extreme Pro Stock, the Pro Stockers, we're getting word that they're shooting to be into the 3s. So we might get the first 3-second run out of an Extreme Pro Stocker, a Mountain Motor Pro Stocker, in the 8th mile. Looking forward to what might happen at Virginia Motorsports Park. Also, we might do a little bit of talking about this with our first guest. Murph McKinney has a great article on Competition Plus, where I get my drag racing news, one source, about what is happening with these chassis in Top Fuel. Go check it out. It's on the second page of the news cycle there on Competition Plus, and read up on, if you're curious, what is happening in the ranks of Top Fuel with these chassis concerning the wreck that Leah Pruitt had at the Midwest Nationals in St. Louis. Chris Ramos, yes, thanks a lot, COVID-19. What a strange year, but as strange as it is, as devastating as it has been, what great storylines it also has brought us. Well, look, I'm going to bring on my first guest here this evening. That is Mr. Terry Totten. Let's take a look at the Q1 run, and then we will have him on. Terry, man, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Good to have you on. I know that there are some tech challenges, but once again, you got on, man, just like the Zoom last time, and you're here and you're ready to go live. So I'm glad it worked out. Glad to have you. Look, talk to me. You know, you were not in the car this weekend. You were acting as owner and tuner. What does it feel like to watch someone drive your car?
More nerve-wracking than being in it. It's worse. You're like I don't know. It really changes everything for you. I'm a lot more calmer. I'm a lot more relaxed when I'm in the car than I am standing there. There's just, it's just a whole flip. You'd think you'd be a little less nervous, but no, I'm more nervous being outside the car than I am inside the car. But it's getting better. Joey has been doing a phenomenal job with everything that we've thrown at him. Even from stumbling, from licensing, it wasn't his fault. He made the right calls. He showed he knew he had the right instincts and the right reactions to stuff, and that just put more confidence in me to let him run at that level, to just go ahead and bring him on up. I wouldn't have done him any good just taking a guy who hasn't been in any kind of car like that and send him in a perfect 390 pass, because he wouldn't have learned anything, just like I wouldn't have seen anything that I needed to see, like what to do when it starts to shake. What's he does he lift? Does he he even asked me in the run against Schumacher there at Dallas race. He said, "Do you want me to pedal it if I'm close?" I'm like, "No, not if you're close." You can't pedal against a Schumacher probably and win. So he did everything right, and so it's making it a little bit easier for me. And Mark Howard, who is turning the knobs and pushing the buttons when I'm in the car, wasn't available this weekend, so I had to do that, which is something that I don't get to do. So that was a little bit different too. But nobody made any mistakes, so he did really good. I've found that everybody that's been around us has been able to perform under pressure without really missing a beat. There's not a lot of chatter, and everybody does exactly what they were supposed to do. So it's pretty comforting.
Well, we'll talk about the team composition in a few moments. It's definitely something I wanted to ask you. We got Chris, though. He chimes in. We were talking a little bit about this before coming on air. Hi, Terry. Any plans for next season? So, man, lay it on them. What's your thoughts? What's your hopes for next season?
For us, well, we're hoping to bring out a funny car. We've, once again been stumbling there, but it's one step at a time, and we'll get there. We ran out of summer. It all started, too late in the year anyway, so that didn't help anything. We're going to be looking at, early spring, heading south, possibly getting the first few passes out of the way. We're still looking at, we have a pretty good idea who's going to be climbing in it. If not me, then old Don Sasenka, Mr. Magoo, wants to get back in there. So he's been chomping at the bit to sit down in the car. He's done it a long time. I have a tremendous amount of faith that he'll do everything right, because he's been doing it so long. And we may even be working some new people into the mix too. I suppose I might drive the dragster a few times next year. I think Joey wants to drive the dragster a few times next year. I would like to cross license over into the funny car, but I think we're going to start out with Don. I think we're going to have a whole stable full of people that can drive either or car, so that we can be at, events and it not be put aside because this person can't make it or that person can't make it. And we'll be there to bounce back and forth and support each other on whatever race weekend it is and wherever it is. And there's a big change starting out on the opposite end of the country. We're used to heading to Arizona in the early spring for the test session, and then we usually sit out Pomona, but then we come back to Arizona and Las Vegas, and now we're going to be, sounds like, Florida and then Georgia. If it was just Florida, I wouldn't even probably think about going, but because it's Florida and Georgia, and it's in Joey's part of the country, we'll probably head that way so we can catch those first two early in the year, which will be getting us off to a good start. The back and forth across the United States driving just eats up, small budget guy. Just can't do it. The expenses, time away from work, it will not work. But when there's two of them in the same area and we can leave one there and fly back down, that is doable.
Right. I know the small teams like yours, you got to be smart about your schedule and travel and planning this, planning that. I know the leverage racing team, even the Placinos in PDRA racing, they've left their trailers near the next race and just fly back to the truck, pick it up, and go on to the next race. So you definitely got to be smart about it. Talk about the composition of your team. Yes, it's a smaller team, an independent, as people would say. Where are all these people coming from and making Totten Motorsports possible on a NHRA national weekend?
Well, on the weekend, because of the guys that are here locally that come out to the shop on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and half days, Saturdays is usually our shop days. We meet out there. We've been rolling into the track with a car that's ready to go. And that's something that, I can tell you how many times I've been sitting there Thursday night thinking, am I going to get this ready to go? Because I got a lot of work to do. And now it's like, put up the awning and pull out the car and, okay, what do we do? You guys want to go get something to eat? Because that's something that hasn't happened very often. But this year we're getting it down to where we can, roll in and be ready to go. So a lot of the help at the track is made a lot easier with the guys back here. So I got a couple guys here, Al and Mike and Todd, and we all get together and we get the car ready to go. And then when we go to the track, Joey brings in usually a couple people that have worked with him on the front engine car. Like Pete Dove has his own Alter that he just went out and debuted this year. His dad has drove for John Lawson for years in the quick draw car, and is very good on the clutch. And Joey's in there. I'm in there. Don's in there. My brother-in-law, Scott Fritz, he's in there. He's a master at organization. So when we have a bolt we need, we can show him and he'll go get one. And it's kind of like having your own Ace Hardware store inside your trailer because he knows where everything is at. We're not just digging through bins all the time. He's got it all cataloged pretty good. And that kind of, and then we usually have a couple volunteers, people that are local to the area. This last weekend in Ennis, it was, Joey is originally from down there. They do have family down there. So his uncle was down there, and another friend of his was down there that was a diesel mechanic, and they just, they're just there to support, clean this, help this, move this there. And that, and that over the course of a weekend, it makes a big difference come Sunday when we're loading up, to get out of there that, your back, your arms, your feet, everything's hurting because you just, overdid it for 3 days. So it's making a huge deal. That's where we're at. Where we would like to be is have a couple guys on each side of the motor that know everything about what they need to do. That's where we want to get to. I tried to do it in a way to not keep Joey, when he's driving, helping out on bottom end and clutch. It's too hard. You go from one mode to the other mode. I know, I do it. I've been there. It's not an easy task to jump out of the car and go change your clothes. You're just still all pumped up, and then to lay down and start, pulling rods out or popping pistons out, packing parachutes, doing a clutch. It's hard to be a really good driver because you gotta decompress. I mean, you need a couple minutes after that. I do anyway. Maybe Joey's different, but I need to sit and think about what happened. I need to, before I go trying to make tuning calls and stuff like that, I just have to think about it for a minute, and you got to play it through in your head. It happens so fast. You got to go flow through it and make the right calls. So our crew has been a lot of different people, but there are a lot of people that are good at a mechanic. And I think a mechanic means, somebody who can put nuts and bolts together and not make an a mistake that would be made by a drywaller, or paper hanger. They know which way the washer goes on the bolt. They know, you know what I mean? They know feel of torque and things like that. So that makes a huge difference, you know, if they're coming from, whether they're a diesel mechanic or whatever, they are a mechanic. And then we just take them through it one time after the first qualifying session, and then hope that they're going to be there come Sunday if we go around. So.
All right. Well, and I think going around is definitely in the future for your team. I have been thoroughly impressed by what you get done on a race weekend. Chip Lofton, strutmasters.com, he's thoroughly impressed by what y'all get done on a race weekend. Let me mention this. Destroyer 1320 on YouTube. By the way, that's a great YouTube handle. I love that, Destroyer 1320. He says, hit the like, y'all, after he said, hi, everyone. Yes, he's right. If you're watching, whatever like button you've got, hit that like button. And by the way, hit the share button and help this show out. It is going to be helped out by you, the viewer. Look, let me say this. Who else is talking to a Terry Totten but the Monday Morning Racer? Because he's got a story that people should be talking to him. So, Terry, look, I'm going to bring up the round one action, and let's talk a little bit about the Fall Nationals from your perspective and that run right now. All right, folks, sorry for the audio there. It was actually the wind. Very windy up at the top at the Texas Motorplex in the stands. Man, the car went into power wheelie mode out there. Talk to me about, one, having to wait on Tony a little bit and getting the car staged, and Joey going out there and driving round one and doing a good job.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on over there in the other lane. We waited, we wind our car, and we're one of the only teams that does that. We just want to make sure that, in rotation, we throw anything into the exhaust that potentially would be there. So we winded the car, and we all were waiting, and we turned around, and we waited for a thumbs up, and we got a thumbs up, and we went ahead and started the car. And then nothing, and a little more nothing, and then waited a little bit longer. I had to go to the computer to see how long our car actually ran before I moved him into the burnout box. And so it was 52 seconds. We sat there waiting. And if you calculate the fuel on that 52 seconds is why that car left with its front end up so high. We lost some weight up there. It's hard without a stopwatch on you to know exactly how long it's been, because when you're anticipating something like that, it feels like it takes forever. But then in reality, it was not that long. I think the pro teams, the big guys out there have their routine down to, they want to know how long that car is running from the minute they start it. And they're very good at it. I believe that, like David Grubnick, we started our car on one, and I did a burnout backed up. And while I was backing up, Brittany did her burnout. And I already knew at that point we were in trouble. Clutch is going to be too hot. We are going to lose too much fuel. And that one, when I stepped on the throttle, I had stuck my head in a paint shaker. I mean, it just about knocked my butt out. And at that point, I got out of the car. I was a little more upset with my guys for starting me so soon, but I wasn't outside the car seeing exactly what was going on. But I told them at that time, you don't start this car again until they start. I don't know if it's because we're not as experienced that they think we're going to hold them up, so they always wait longer. And it's not, because I think we need anywhere between a minute to a minute 15 seconds, and I can have our car in the beam. And Tony, they were exactly a minute 30 according to my computer, and David Grubnick was a minute 30 according to my computer. You wouldn't think that would make a big difference. The biggest difference between the Grubnik one, where we sat a lot longer than I thought we should have, and this one is that we didn't do the burnout first. So I think when you do the burnout, sitting there with the car idling, I'm what are we doing? It's starting to freak me out. But because the car hadn't done the burnout yet, it wasn't as big a deal to let it sit there and idle, other than the weight on the front. So after we did the burnout, so if you can imagine, we start him up, we don't wait, we take off, do the burnout, get the heat in there, and then bring it back. Well, we're making more heat and making more heat. Just idling, it wasn't making as much heat. That's why I think we had an okay, and it didn't rattle. I was concerned that Joey was going to get rattled. He did good. I looked at him. I seen his eyes. He seen my eyes. I, just told him, just be patient. But had we had the weight on the front end and a little bit less heat in the clutch, that car probably would have ran better than it did. Anytime you pick the front end up, it's wasted motion. That's why they make these cars slinkies. You're not going forward if you're going up. But Joey did his job on the line. I mean, he went in a little bit deep. I saw him do it. I seen him light the second bulb, and then he gave it a little bit of extra. And he cut a good light. And the 051 light was, that to me is not a novice driver, what he did there. And to be able to do that after being sat as long as we were, staying calm, staying focused, that says a lot about a driver, because I probably wouldn't have tried to make that move for fear that I would have gone too far. Clutch would, you know what I mean? Because once you let off the brake, when you start getting that clutch, it'll start to creep that car forward. That brings, that brings me back to the Billy Torrance, or not Billy Torrance, who was it that I ran? When everybody thought I took a stab at the tree. I even remember watching it on TV, and Cruz said, yeah, from time to time, you'll see these guys take a stab at the tree. They did it there, but it didn't work. And that wasn't exactly true, because if you watch that video real close, you will see I let off enough brake that car creeped forward. I didn't leave any faster than the guy next to me. I broke the beam by creeping before I hit the throttle. So I was red lit before I even stomped on the throttle. But that was my fault. That was me not being able to focus on my brake hand when I was focusing on the light. Lesson learned. Won't happen again. But no, that was a good run. The car did everything that we can't ask it to do more than what we give it the opportunity to do. We're asking it to do exactly what it's doing. Next year, when the forces are back out and Palmer's back out every weekend, and we're going to have to ask a little bit more of it. And that's when we'll really see, I look at the computer. You'll notice in that run too, that after that first 100 feet, we kind of locked up with Tony. They didn't gain, he didn't walk away. We locked up with him, but he just got out there farther, faster. And once we get that short game, once we get that 8th mile down, and that's what I started studying on the computer when we got back, is why won't this car will leave, but why am I not getting these better 60-foot times, and what is happening? And I'm finding stuff. I just don't know what to do to fix it yet. So we're going to have to start working on that, because you can see this hesitation in how the clutch is moving in about 0.8 of a second out there. And that's where these guys are jumping out there, and then we lock back up with them. But we have this spot where we lose them just about that half a car, 3/4 of a car length. And if we can get that taken care of, we're going to be side by side the rest of the way down the track. Because on the big end, we pulled like another 34 mile an hour. Tony pulled 33 mile an hour on the big end. But the difference is that Tony was already going faster, so it's harder to go faster when you're going faster than the other guy. You don't have like if we're doing 190 and he's doing 230, it's harder for him to get to 250 than it is for us to get to 250 if we're pulling as hard, because we got it above us. He doesn't. He's already there. So there's going to be some exciting things once we find that spot. And when I find that spot and we start doing the 380s, then we're going to be the 383, 385, 381 over and over and over again, hopefully, just like we're doing the 393, the 395, the 391. And then it'll be a little bit different when Joey gets in there and somebody messes up a little bit on the tree and he goes, 50, and they go, 75. That's going to make it a little bit more interesting. And then we're not going to lose them all running the way we're running. That's for sure. We're going to start winning some rounds.
Definitely. Y'all got the performance, and I can't wait to see when there's a little bit more performance. And, an 050 light, because he left on Tony. He did have a better light, and it would have been interesting to see if it would have kept that nose down, what it would have done, and maybe a round one victory over Tony Schumacher. Well, look, very quickly here, Terry, look, answer this for me. Chris asks, when you're not racing, where do you work? So what profession are you in, man?
I'm a plumbing contractor, remodel contractor. So
all right, in the plumbing world. Hopefully he doesn't share much crack. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Destroyer 1320. And by the way, Destroyer, thank you for bringing your Dan IT guy buddy in. Destroyer 1320. He asked, what is Terry's favorite track? So put that up on the board there, Terry. What's the favorite track?
I would have to say I like the Las Vegas track just because it's just the way it's laid out. But sentimental, my home track, Topeka. I got so many memories of being at Topeka as a spectator before I even ever thought I was ever going to be involved in drag racing. I didn't come up through junior dragsters. I didn't, go through it. It was none of that. I went to an event at Topeka. At that event, I witnessed Doug and Scott Clitta do the fastest side-by-side two top fuel dragsters in history. At that time, I think it was like a 324 to a 326. They're still going to 1,320 feet. And I was like, that was cool. that
Definitely.
got me hooked.
Definitely. All right. Scott, he asks this about a phrase I heard over the weekend. When did the car means they cleared any nitro out of the engine? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're referring to, or what are you doing in that process?
Yeah,
man?
when we win the car, we just hit the starter for a few seconds and get the motor going in rotation and get the valve, and what it does is it just blows anything that may have been residual fuel or anything like that in the cylinder out into the exhaust. You back it down before you put the starter on. So technically you really don't have to do it, but it's in our routine and we leave it there. In the pits, we started on one mag, then we let it die, put the mag wires back in. Then when we go to nitro, we started on the other mag first. That way we know both mags are firing. But you'll always hear my guy, the starter, Scott, he'll say, I'm winding, and he'll run that over. We leave the computer off. We leave all the electronics off and everything like that. Then he'll tighten the starter back up and then light the fuse. But it's just one safety thing we do. If you ever hear a car when they go to start it and they pull the mag wires and you'll hear a couple paps, pretty hard pops in there, usually that's nitromethane that may have leaked out of a nozzle in the head, because you have live fuel in both fuel rails in both heads, that if one of them leaks, it'll start dripping a little bit of fuel. If you have anything in there, just a teeny tiny piece of grit or piece of rubber, it can sit there and drip down into the cylinder. And if you don't back it down or wind it, when you pull the mag wire, you could go on to nitro. If the motor's not turning fast enough, it'll try to send it back the other way. And that's why we wind it.
All right. Brian Golick, he's got an alcohol funny car, works with the leverage team. He says windmill is what we call it. So there's some different slang out there in the pits, apparently.
I was over there. I went over to meet Joe, and he was busy, but he was getting in the cars, and I heard him holler that out, windmilling. All right. Well, look, you hang on, Terry. I'm going to bring on my second guest tonight, Colton Jordan. He's going to give us a preview of the ADRL there in St. Louis. So, folks, coming up here next, along with Terry, and we're going to let him ask Terry a question before Terry heads on tonight. Colton Jordan, I've got him covered up there with my logo that I can't remove, but you'll see him on the screen just here in a few moments. The voice of the ADRL
Mr. Colton Jordan. How you doing tonight?
What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Good.
Doing good, doing good. Well, we got the cars in the background. I know there's testing going on there at the ADRL. While we got Terry on the line here, shoot a question out for him, man.
Well, Terry, I know that you drive, Top Fuel cars too, and throwing somebody else in your seat has got to be a tough thing to do because that race car is like your baby. That thing, you work on that thing week in and week out. So have you found it less difficult to kind of hand over the keys to your Top Fuel car to somebody else for a weekend?
Well, what conditioned me for it was that when I bought the car and I was going to go out and run the car, I didn't have a license to run it. And since I hadn't got a license yet, I had a guy by the name of Rob Passy come and start driving it. And, that was nerve-wracking. It got worse once I got in the car and realized, what it's all about. But, yeah, I'd sit and I go back and forth in my mind from time to time. It's like, do I really want to do this? I fear more for if something happens, if it wasn't my fault or if it was one of my guys' fault or if it was my fault, where do you go from there? And I think that just plays in the back of your head, and then you get your adrenaline going on top of it. And then, it starts to get you kind of goofy. It's kind of like you would think it would get easier, but it really doesn't. It's like jumping out of an airplane when you go parachuting. The first one, you don't really remember too much about it. The second one, you're starting to figure it out. By the third or fourth one, you're starting to think about everything that could happen, and it's worse than the first jump or the second jump because now you have time to let your mind start playing its own games with you. But yeah, it's been after we went and did our testing and Joey reacted to the car having problems the way he did. It did a lot for me to be able to let him run a national event. For us to go to Indy, him as a rookie, all the pressure we had on to be the last car to be able to qualify, to get in the show. We're on the outside looking in, and him do it, that says a lot about him as a driver, So I think Rob did an awesome job driving my car. We didn't have the car that we have today when Rob was in it. We were struggling every weekend, but I would care less about what happened to the car as long as my driver can walk away. I'm sure Don Schumacher probably feels the same way after the catastrophic failure that car had, for Leah. And as you watch that car move in the air and see the chutes come out and it just happens to turn this way again and land on its tires, it's just like, wow, however long it would have taken for that chute to snag up or the car get turned a little bit farther, get tangled up. That was an amazing ride, and to watch that car in slow motion do what it did. And that would be, to see her get out of the car was probably like, whew, and I'm sure for Leah to get back in it the next time was probably a little bit too. She probably would have done herself a lot of favors not watching that video.
Right. Well, Terry, look, you're coping well, obviously, as a owner, putting someone else in the car. You do a great job in the car yourself. I've seen that. And, yeah, what an accomplishment. A rookie shows up, first race, U.S. Nationals, and makes it in and makes it an all 3-second field. That's pretty cool, except that you knocked out the leverage gang, which I was trying to help. Next time, don't do that. Let's get everybody in that the Monday Morning Racer needs in. Let's do that.
All right,
Let's do that.
right.
Terry, man, thank you for being on. I'll have you on definitely another time. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
See you, Terry.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Colton Jordan, the voice of the ADRL. First thing I've got to ask for everybody out there, they may be hearing it, what in the world is the Battle of the Belts?
So the Battle of the Belts is basically like the countdown to the championship almost in NHRA. So with this year, us only having 4 races, it got abbreviated a little bit. Normally on a normal 10 race ADRL schedule, we would take the top 8 in points and we would run them Friday night at Dragstock, the last race of the year here in St. Louis. And the winner of that 8-car field would be your world champion for the year. So basically you fought all year long to be within the top 8 in points. And then we would run an 8-car field during qualifying. It would all count toward qualifying. And basically whoever won the 8-car shootout was your Pro Extreme World Champion. So with the abbreviated 4-race schedule, we decided to only take the top 4 in points. So it's going to be Adam Flamhawk, Jason Hamstra, Bubba Stanton, and Frankie Taylor battling it out tomorrow night to find out who will be your 2020 ADRL Pro Extreme World Champion.
Well, stellar, man. Looking forward to it. Oh, interesting. So it basically is like a countdown. That's pretty cool. But the belts. I mean, I just envision like drag racers coming out with a belt over their shoulder and face paint on, because I was a Sting fan, woo, and they've won the battle of the belts. That's what I envision. Hopefully someone does that. That would be cool.
We actually do give away, we actually do have the belt itself. I mean, it's not just, a name or something. And that all stems from Kenny owns a MMA sanction body as well. That he promotes here and around the St. Louis area. So that's kind of where that come from, the Battle of the Belts deal. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be really fun tomorrow. I'm excited because I'm going to get to announce my first Pro Extreme World Champion here as a part of the ADRL, and it doesn't get much better than that, man.
No, man, that's cool. That is definitely cool. I know you're excited to see where your career path is going, and hey, being the voice of, I mean, that's impressive, definitely impressive. And I think the ADRL is certainly on the rise. Y'all have had a good year. Texas Motorplex, 20,000 people for the last event that y'all had there?
Yeah, close to 20,000. I even asked one of our track guys who is pretty much a connoisseur at telling how many people were in the stands, and no hard feelings toward NHRA, but in his humble opinion, he thinks ADRL had more fans at it on Saturday than NHRA did on Saturday, which is, I mean, as a sanctioned body like the ADRL is really big for us because NHRA is the measuring stick to which everybody compares to. So for somebody like that who has extensive background in crowds and things of that nature, that's a pretty cool deal to say we beat NHRA in just some form or fashion. Getting it in and beating them. And even if it isn't a challenging year, hey, beating the NHRA in some way is beating the NHRA. Hey, folks, I want you to know we do got Justin Ashley, our next guest. He is in the studio waiting. He's actually doing a little dance for us. We can see it in the bottom. But we'll have him on in a few moments. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back here with Mr. Jordan.
Looking for the perfect do-it-yourself air suspension kit for your truck? Strutmasters has got it. Our complete heavy-duty air suspension kit comes with everything you need. It bolts right in with no modifications. You can have it all. Heavy-duty hauling and towing performance and the smooth ride you crave. Get a complete air suspension kit for your pickup at strutmasters.com or call us at 866-597-2397.
Thank you, Chip, for all that you do in drag racing. Thank you for supporting the Monday Morning Racer. Folks, look, pick up the phone, get your air kit, and tell them Monday Morning Racer sent you. Colton, I am definitely intrigued with all that the ADRL has got going on, and its rise. It's rise again this year. I am definitely intrigued about Extreme Pro Stock, a.k.a. Mountain Motor Pro Stock, showing up for this event. And they're shooting for that 3 run. And then the guys in Virginia are shooting for the 3 run because Johnny Placino has sewed it up in the PDRA. So people are like, we're just going to let it hang out. So, yeah, man, do you think the time zone thing is going to get the ADRL and the PDRA get the 3s first?
It's a possibility. Now, the weather conditions, I will say, are probably more conducive in Virginia in order to get that first 3-second run in an Extreme Pro Stock car. I was talking to John DeFlorian earlier, and he said, the correction is just absolutely out of the roof here in St. Louis right now. He said, so hopefully looking ahead, hopefully the weather gets a little bit, but it's going to be cold. It's going to be very cold here tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. And And as we all know, cold weather to a certain extent. But yeah, I mean, it could possibly go into effect like that with versus PDRA in Virginia. John DeFlorian actually went 408 earlier, and like you said, the correction was out of the roof. And so, we definitely have a very good car here on property. We got tons of great cars. Roy Hill is here with Matt Bell and his Ford Mustang. Justin Kirk is having some issues over here on the starting line right now and had to be pushed off, but that's a fast car. Went 410 earlier. So there are some really good cars here that could possibly go in the threes. And of course you got Johnny Pacino, Chris Powers, JR Carr, and racers like that are going to be at Virginia that could possibly do it too. So we'll see. It'll be a fun little rivalry this weekend.
I think so. I think there's going to be a little bit of, PDRA's like, we got to get it done Friday night. And if we don't get it done Friday night, it's like, okay, we got to get it done before eliminations round by round, checking the time. And I envision that. I know I'm going to be doing that, and at least. So I think others will be as well. So very quickly, Brian, he mentions ADRL Alky Funnies, alcohol funny car in the ADRL. I don't know. It seems like ADRL is open to a lot of things. Could it happen?
That was a nice pass. I don't think so. And the main reason for that is because there's already another association that races, within close proximity to the ADRL that do run alcohol funny cars, and they're loving it over there. I don't want to start any rumors or anything, or say, somebody say, oh, well, Colton said this is going to happen, because I definitely have no part in any of the decision making that happens within the ADRL. I just show up, they hand me a microphone, and I do my business. But a couple of different top alcohol dragster competitors have been talking to the upper management here at the ADRL. So, like I said, you never know what's going to happen. We used to run Nitro Harleys for crap's sake, I mean, we run all kinds of stuff over here at the ADRL. So, alcohol funny car, probably not. I would love it myself. Probably not, but alcohol dragster, maybe.
Hey, Mike Booker, who was on last time, in which I had you on for your preview before Dallas, hey, he mentioned, hey, I would do 8th Mile, no problem, in nitro injected. So why not? Why not? Look, Destroyer 1320, he says the ADRL is doing things right. What's basically the methodology of the ADRL concerning the teams and the fans, man?
I've been around this stuff. Yeah, I'm young, but I've been around this stuff for a long time. I have never witnessed a group of racers that are so connected to each other and so connected to the fans. I mean, it's like nothing else, because these racers are here. Not only are they here for the check and they're here for the trophy, they are here to entertain the people that have spent their hard-earned $20 bill to come here and park at an ADRL event and come in and watch the show. This is all about the show. Kenny Dowling is all about the show. I mean, side-by-side burnouts, the longest burnout gets $1,000 extra in a brand new pair of slicks. I mean, just things like that. And I think one of the biggest draws to the ADRL, I guess you would call it, is the free tickets. I think for over the past 4 weeks or so, they have handed out 1.3 million tickets around the St. Louis area for this week. Now, of course, not all 1.3 million people are going to come. The way you look at that is about 10% of the people that see the ticket are going to pick it up, and about 1% of that 10% are actually going to come. So that's why you overkick your coverage and as far as how many tickets you put out. But I mean, it's not only, you don't have to pick out a ticket in person. You can go on the ADRL Facebook page and screenshot it off your phone, and it still works. And it's $20. You pack up 4 of your buddies, come out here and spend you a couple bucks a piece, and come out here and watch the greatest show on earth. And it's just, there's no association that I have ever witnessed that has the type of connection, because we're all the same. I mean, there's no multi-millionaire owners out here. These are hardworking guys that own their own businesses, that work for, their father in the family business, that's been successful over the past, 20, 30 years or so. And they're able to come out here and do this as a hobby. So I think it's different from NHRA in that fact. And I think the fans really resonate with that because they're pretty much just like the racers here.
All right, man. Well, look, very quickly, we got Scott here. He asks, look, you're going to be back at the Door Slammer Nationals in March, World Door Slammer Nationals. You plan on making that one again?
Me and Wes are very good buddies. I've known Wes for a while now. And when Erica won the St. Louis final on Saturday night in Dallas, Wes was absolutely pumped. And I went back to their pits and I kind of grabbed Wes and, reached around him and said, hey, Wes, me and you got to talk about something. He said, what's that? I said, I got to be at Door Slammer Nationals 2.0. I said, I don't care if I'm there sweeping bugs off the floor. I don't care. So I got to be there. And he says, we'll make it happen. So I don't know how and what vicinity I'll be there, but darn it, as long as I'm still breathing, I plan on being at the Door Slammer Nationals, of course, unless ADRL happens to come in the way of that. But other than that, I don't see any reason why I won't be.
All right. Well, look, man, give me your picks for the ADRL this weekend, and then I'm going to bring Justin on and fire off a question for him.
It's going to be a tough one. Jason Hamstra is running absolutely phenomenal right now. He's been 360 with an 8, 9 thousandths of a second away from a 350 run, and that happened in Dallas. And so Hamstra is going to be tough to beat, so he would probably be my pick for Pro Extreme. I'm still have my fingers crossed at Bubba Stanton's first to the 50s, but he's trying to work out some gremlins here this weekend. And then I'm going to go with my buddy John DeFlorian in Extreme Pro Stock, and Will Cagle in Big Tire No Time. And I'm going to go with Adam Jakubczyk in Pro Junior Dragster. And we might see if Tyler Wells or Mackenzie Wells can come out here and win in Junior Sportsman. So those are my picks. We're going to see. It's going to be an interesting weekend, that's for sure.
Look, all I got to say is that is a talented cameraman. That's all I got to say. He needs to get paid more. Justin Ashley, great to have you on. Look, congratulations on setting a new low in the ET realm there in your career. We got the voice of the ADRL here, Colton Jordan. So, Colton, look, fire away. Give Justin a question.
What I want to know is since your dad used to race in Pro Extreme in the ADRL, and his old car is actually – I don't think it's on property, but it was here, in the beginning of the year. I want to know when we're going to see Justin Ashley, the second generation of Ashleys in Pro Extreme.
That's a great question. I never want to say no to driving anything. Right now, I'm focused on driving the Top Fuel Dragster. That's a handful in and of itself. But, the idea of running a Pro Extreme type class definitely puts a little bit of a smile on my face, so you never know.
That's
well, there it is. Hey, there it is. It might happen. It might happen one day. I know Mike doesn't want it, but yeah, see, look, I'll bring it up. Mike, never. Now, I will say, I like this other comment. Mike says, we need to put Lee in the car and Justin behind the camera. Y'all don't want to do that. It's been a dream of mine for I don't know how long. And I'm closer than I've ever been. I'm going to work toward it. I'm going to lose more weight, and I'm going to get smaller than Justin. And
Lee, I got, and I would have to be there. If you ever decide to just make a squirt in a top fuel car, I have to be there. I want to see you puke whenever you get out of the top end.
Hey, if anyone was crazy enough to let me do it, I'd do it in anything. Look, I do Top Fuel Harley. If you told me how to do it, I'd do it. would. I would.
No.
I would.
You're
I
a
would.
better man. You're a better man than me.
Me too.
I'll drive without anything except for Top Fuel Harley. I'm good. Yeah.
Ain't no
Look,
way.
you give me some instruction and realize I'm probably going to hit it and then let off because I'm like, what just happened? But I'll give it a shot. I will give it a shot.
I would
Colton,
do a burnout on one, but that's as far as I'm going. Burnout only, I'm good.
All right. Well, Cole, look, I hope ADRL there across the river there from St. Louis, well, this weekend. Looking forward to hearing that y'all are the second to the threes. Take care, man.
See you, buddy. Thank you.
All right, Justin, look, decent event there for the Fall Nationals. I'm going to play a video, and then we're going to bring Flo in from GuardLab, and we're going to talk a little bit about the science of what you're putting in your mouth and how that's all connected to drag racing and how it helps you. Because I think this run, having a mouthpiece a mouth guard, was probably pretty helpful. Kabooey. Hey, Flo, how you doing? Good to have you on. And I'm looking forward to this chat. And I've wanted this show to be far more than just talking about like the runs of drag racing and everything about drag racing. So this is definitely going to be interesting. But how you doing tonight, Flo?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, folks, well, let Justin set it up. What happened on that run? And I know you described in an interview I had with you that you could smell the fire. You don't really see it, but you smell it. But you have this deceleration in that moment. Does, wearing the GuardLab mouth guard even help in that type of situation?
Yeah. So, when the conditions are as good as they are and the track was as good as it was, you're going to push it and you're going to try and go out there and run fast. And in that particular instance, it's exactly what we were trying to do. We were trying to run fast and make sure that everyone knew about it. But when I think of a mouth guard, there's really three things that come to mind. It's about comfort, it's about safety, and it's about performance. And for me, in an instant like that, where there's so much deceleration, and when the car will blow up behind you and you get launched and pushed forward in the seat, just to be able to have a mouth guard in there to not only protect your teeth, but align your jaw correctly, align your spine correctly to allow for better flow of oxygen, whether it's a situation like that, whether it's tire shake or tire smoke, having a performance safety, upper echelon type of mouth guard like GuardLab does is really effective for me as a driver.
All right, man. And Flo, look, he mentioned some of the sales points of GuardLab and how good they are. Look, I played football. I can remember, I can remember guys who chewed their mouth guards to nothing. I don't know why anybody does that, but I can remember, hard rubber and you boil it. And even after boiling it and just letting it sit in there, it just seemed like it never molded to your mouth. GuardLab, that's not what we're talking about. So describe the product and in that type of situation for Justin, how is it helping him as an athlete?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we're trying to modernize mouth guards, and that's something that GuardLab is doing by using 3D technology and 3D scanning. So when we were talking, you were mentioning the science. So every individual is very different. And what Justin is wearing particularly, it's a performance mouth guard and actually goes on the bottom teeth. And I have it here, it looks like this. So what we're talking about is optimizing your bite, and your bite is really the relationship between your top and bottom teeth. So this mouth guard is just creating a really nice cushion in between your teeth, and that's what's giving you better balance and stability in all the little muscles in your head and your neck and your jaw and your shoulders. So that is what could reduce some of the stress and tension that Justin was describing in the jaw. And subjectively, it could improve your reaction time, which I think Justin can attest to that, because he's leading the pack in that domain.
He definitely is. I'm going to start calling him the Christmas tree robber because I just think it's funny. Others call him the Slayer. He has definitely got reaction time down. And it's interesting to think, when someone's comfortable and there's less stress, they do better. They perform better. I mean, that's just everywhere in life. And this may sound strange, and Flo, you tell me if I'm not thinking on the right track at all, but having the right mouthpiece, GuardLab guard, for the mouth, I mean, is it almost something like sucking a thumb for a baby? Does it help even in that way, that it's soothing? I mean, do you feel like that, Justin, that it just gives you a little extra comfort? Is it, is it along those lines, or have I just embarrassed Justin on live air?
I'll go ahead and run with that question there. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I guess a good way to put it is like a baby sucking on a pacifier, right? I mean, for me, like you, Lee, I played football for almost 10 years, and I went through a number of different mouth guards, and I was probably that one guy that, for who knows why, continued to chew on his mouth guard, like you mentioned. But it was just never comfortable. I don't know. It was just something that you felt like you had to wear, not something that you wanted to wear. And then when, I put the GuardLab mouth guard in, it's just super comfortable. They do a 3D scan of your teeth, so it literally aligns perfectly and fits perfectly with your teeth. So it's certainly comfortable, and it certainly sits in the mouth really nice, and it feels good. So I'm able to be in the car, and, it's just one less variable, one less thing to think about, so I can focus and do everything I can to do my job.
Yeah, Flo, the comfort factor. What are y'all seeing from athletes and the feedback you're getting? And like from Justin, I'm sure Justin's interesting because he's doing something that is not full contact. But, when you really look at like the G's and the vibrations, I mean, he's getting hit. He basically is. Yeah,
a lot of the principles I think are the same, whether it's football or I guess, drag racing. We envision being in a lot of different sports, and performance is performance at the end of the day, right? So Justin is an athlete, so it totally makes sense. But we have everyone from skiers to golfers, tennis players, to NFL players, and even baseball players wearing the product. And yeah, comfort, accuracy, anything to give people an edge, I think it's worth a try.
It's definitely worth a try, and everybody's looking for an edge, and especially in motorsports, and not just an edge, but there is the safety factor. I have a buddy of mine, he races sprint cars, and I asked him, I said, dude, are you wearing a mouth guard, a mouthpiece? And he's like, man, I'm not. I'm like, dude, you're going to chop your tongue off, because it's not a matter of if they flip, it's a matter of when they flip. And Justin, I'm curious, do you happen to know how many fellow drivers are out there wearing a mouthpiece? Do you know the number that are adding that to their safety, safety equipment?
So I'm actually not sure of the specific number, but what I do know is, it's pretty mixed. From what I think I see out there is that the majority of people probably aren't wearing a mouth guard. When I first started racing, I wasn't wearing a mouth guard either, because my fear was that, it's just one more thing that's going to make me uncomfortable in the car. But, little did I know it would do just the opposite. So from what I've seen, just kind of taking a look around the track, I think that I would say probably the majority of people actually aren't wearing a mouth guard right now. But it's something that I would definitely recommend for performance reasons, but really for safety reasons too. These cars are so violent, especially when you're talking about the nitro ranks. You're talking about upwards of 10,000 horsepower, and, just a tremendous amount of force and a tremendous amount of G's that are hitting you right in the chest. And that's not to mention, the tire shake or the tire smoke that you might encounter. So, safety always has to come first. And I think this is one of those, one of those small things that could end up making a big difference.
Right. Dan, IT guy, or it guy, I think it's supposed to be IT. He says, describe the vibration and G-forces you deal with when racing. And you did that just in that moment. And Dan, I can tell you, I film pro mods, I film pro stock, and pro mods are pushing 5,000 horsepower and they're impressive cars. But when I stand behind a top fueler and I film, I wish someone would film me filming, because I literally brace myself, I triangulate my arms, and I clench my teeth because the vibrations are that strong that to keep my face rigid and not to chomp on my tongue, I clench my teeth so that I can film the car going out. I've even had to trust my camera, because when I'm filming, it looks like everything is out of focus. But as many of you have seen, that's not the case with what I've filmed. I have to trust my camera because it does not get affected by the vibrations like my eyeball does. So I don't know what I filmed. I don't know until at the end and the scoreboard comes up. I look back later and I'm like, wow, this is actually good footage. It came out good. At one time, I put the camcorder away and started filming with my cell phone because I thought the footage was junk. So maybe I need a mouthpiece. I'm clenching my teeth out there for all I know.
You definitely need one. It's a whole new category for us. Let's do it.
Yeah, the cameraman. Well, Flo, look, I know we're talking about like the high performance side of things and athletes, but that's not just what GuardLab is about. Apparently, there is something for the everyday person and sleep. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do everything. We're making sleep mouth guards if you grind your teeth, and a lot of people do grind their teeth at nighttime. And we do boil and bite mouth guards. So that's the cool thing about us being involved with Justin in the NHRA. You guys have a really diverse audience. I don't think there's anything more universal than fast cars and sports. They just go hand in hand. So yeah, we do little kids, college kids, everybody. Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about products that are apparently highly customizable. Like I saw one is like rainbows and unicorns, and another one was the galaxy. I mean, you could get these things like team branded. How far can it go?
Anything you want. There's no limit. If you can think it, we can put it on a mouth guard. So yeah, we do really cool stuff like fangs and fun stuff like this. But yeah, all of Justin's guards, have his logo and everything on it. So we make it personal.
Look, I know, in some areas having your grill is the thing. Maybe the next thing is having your mouthpiece and it's all customized. Maybe that's the next trend. That would be pretty cool. The Monday Morning Racer with his big Sultra Oakleys and mouthpiece.
Well, Lee, if I may, I have all my sponsors on my mouth guard, but there is some room on there. If you're interested, we can put the MMR logo, or we can just take a nice big picture of your face and just see if we can just fit it on there. This way, when I take it out, people will see it. It's up to you. Just a thought.
Yes. Look, you would have the most beautiful mouth of all the drivers out there with no. And folks, Justin's kind of hinting there, a new Monday Morning Racer logo will be debuted soon. It will be debuted soon. And if I can get it worked out, I'm going to have my head on parachutes. That's
right. That's exactly right. We do have a little bit of a deal going where, who knows, maybe we'll throw the logo on the back of the shoes. Might look pretty cool.
Never know. Me spinning like I kind of usually do at a national event weekend. Flo, talk to me. What are the price range? And why should someone look at GuardLab opposed to just going down to Dick's Sporting Good and saying, this is good?
Ooh, yeah. The price range is amazing. It's $24.95 all the way up to $149.95. So pretty reasonable. We are 100% made in America. So we make and manufacture everything in Long Island. On Long Island in New York. So, and you can customize it. You can't go to Dick's and put your name on a mouth guard, but you can do it all on our website, and we ship everything in a couple of days.
Awesome. Yeah, you're not going to go to Dick's Sporting Good and get the Monday Morning Racer on your mouth guard. That's not going to happen, but it can happen with GuardLab. Well, look, Justin, your pops, he says this. Let's bring it. Yep. Lee, ask Justin about his new dog. Tell him to bring her on the show. So, if you want to do that, feel more than welcome to bring the new pup on the show. What new fur ball is running around there, man?
So I got I always loved dogs. My family had a dog for many years. My girlfriend and I just got a a Boston Terrier. She'll be 3 months in just a few days, and she's being brought over to me right now as we speak. This is her. This is my little girl, Winnie.
Oh,
so she's super cute.
Everybody in the comment section type
yeah, give me a nice little she is super cute, super well behaved. You know, if she was a boy, I was gonna name her Nitro, but she's a girl, and my Kareem Abdul-Jabbar name didn't fly over too well either, so we went with Winnie.
Oh,
yeah.
Winnie's
we
nice.
have a puppy play date. I have a new puppy too, and he's 5 months. It's a boxer.
There you go. Puppy play date coming up.
Everybody's got puppies. Wow, I don't. So, well, look, Flo, it's been great having you on. Any final words on GuardLab and how people can purchase it, where they can find it, and anything else you might want to give to the folks concerning how important a mouth guard is?
Thanks. Visit guardlab.com, and you can also find us on Amazon if that's easier too. But definitely come to the website, or even check out our Instagram, because there's so many cool pictures. We've got a lot of Justin on there and cool designs that people are making, but we definitely have something for everybody, and please check it out.
All right, folks, check it out there at GuardLab, and you can find them on social media there, on the web, Amazon as well. And I'm definitely intrigued by the help with the sleeping, the grinding, and I don't know, maybe I truly need one when I clench my teeth on the line. Maybe I do. So, folks, check it out. Well, Flo, look, thank you, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in person sometime.
I would love it. I'm going to send you some stuff. I'm going to get that new logo, and I'm sending you a gift.
Okay, sure. Awesome. Thank you, Flo. Take care.
Thanks.
Well, Justin, look, we know that we're going to let you go on here very soon as well. I've got one question for you.
Sure.
And it is a question that I think is of great importance. My mind is racked over this. You just went in the low 360s, 300 something miles per hour. I think it was 323. When you're driving around on the highway at 55, do you think that's incredibly slow, or is it all normalized because of where you're at?
That is an amazing question, and everybody asks me that. And you would think that I would be going, 100 miles an hour on the highway and enjoying myself and having a good time. And the most ironic part is I drive super slow. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I get it all out of my system at the racetrack or what, but for some reason, and I have a nice fast car. I have a Challenger. It's meant to go fast, but for some reason, I don't know what it is. I'm a 55 to 60 mile per hour guy. Turn on the sports radio and do some business phone calls in the car and kind of in my own world when I'm driving. So the ironic part about it is I go fast on the racetrack, but off the track, I'm a speed limit type of guy, man. That's just the type of guy I am.
All right, he's just back there cruising. That's what he's doing. He's just back there cruising. Well, Justin, again, thank you for being on. I see you're wearing the King's Bearing hoodie tonight, and you've had GuardLab on with us, which is great. And I think more drivers need to be looking everywhere they can for an edge, and I'm sure it's already helping you. But yeah, man, spill it. Tell us about your partners and who all is making Justin Ashley Racing with Davis Motorsports possible.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, to be on here and talk about GuardLab, because for me, I think one of the awesome parts about all our sponsors is that they're products that I use. GuardLab is something that's extraordinarily effective for me. It's just another variable, something that I use and I believe directly correlates to increased performance. And as you can see, I'm wearing my King Engine Bearing sweatshirt here. They've been a tremendous supporter of our team. As we know, bearings are critical. They tell you what you need to know about the race car. And we have the best in the business with King and, Auto Shocker. It's funny. I just, in the process of renovating a house today, and I used Auto Shocker and Bioside Systems Room Shocker to get the smell out. So I'm definitely using all the different products. I'm making sure to use my Manscaped products as well, so I'm trimmed up and ready to go. and of course, Chip Lofton and Strut Masters. There's no doubt without Chip and without Strut Masters, I would not be in the position I am today. So I'm forever grateful to Chip and just a proud representative of all our sponsors, and especially a very, very proud representative of Chip and Team Strut Masters.
All right. Well, folks, look, I do want you to know we're still trying to work it out. We might have something worked out with Monday Morning Racer and Justin Ashley and Manscaped. Interesting. I'm going to be chatting with him on that later on. Well, Justin, look, I'm going to do something I've never done before with this show. We're going to do it for the first time tonight. I like doing different things. I'm the Monday Morning Racer. It's chaos. It's just chaos. We're going to let you close the show out. So you, sir, on your own, close out Monday Morning Racers Between the Slicks.
This is a lot of pressure, but I'm going to try this in my best announcer voice. Thank you for tuning in. You are watching Between the Slicks with Monday Morning Racer, presented by Strut Masters.